Everybody, good afternoon. This is Jason, Butterfly Square Garden. We're doing something a little different. I know I do a lot of live readings, but this time it's 12 Steps from Alcohol Anonymous. I'm doing it with a friend, a sponsor. I suggest you do the same. He's going to interrupt me anytime he wants to talk about anything. So, jumping right in. A certain American businessman had ability, good sense, and high character. For years, he had floundered from one sanitarium to another. He had consulted the best known American psychiatrists. Then he had gone to Europe, placing himself in the care of a celebrated physician. The psychiatrist, Dr. Young, one of my favorite psychiatrists of all time, I'll talk about that later, who prescribed for him. It just says who prescribed for him. Through experience, he made him skeptical. He finished his treatment with unusual confidence. His physical and mental condition were usually good. Yeah, it says it. He doesn't. It just said prescribed for him. I don't know. Uh, you can turn the fan on if it's too hot, but I've got the air on high. Okay, I'm just trying to make you comfortable. I want to be a good host. So, his physical and mental condition were unusually good. Above all, he believed that he acquired such a profound knowledge of the inner workings of his mind and its hidden springs that relapse was unthinkable. Nevertheless, he was drunk in a short time. I think we did this already. I don't mind. I should have listened. We're in. Right, I remember that. Cool. Upon hearing this, our friend was somewhat relieved, for he reflected that after all he was a good church member. This hope, however, was destroyed by the doctors telling him that while his religious convictions were very good, in his case they did not spell the necessary vital spiritual experience. And we talked about what a spiritual experience is. It's a change in personality that lasts, basically. That brings about recovery. Thank you. So, here was a terrible dilemma in which our friend found himself when he had the extraordinary experience, which, as we have already told you, made him a free man. And you can be free from alcohol. It can happen. So, we, in our turn, sought the same escape with all the desperation of drowning men. What seemed at first a flimsy reed has proved to be the loving and powerful hand of God. A new life has been given us, or, if you prefer, a design for living that really works. The distinguished American psychologist William James, in his book, The Varieties of Religious Experience, indicates a multitude of ways in which men have discovered God. We have no desire to convince anyone that there is only one way by which faith can be acquired. If what we have learned and felt and seen means anything at all, it means that all of us, whatever our race, creed, or color, are the children of a loving Creator with whom we may form a relationship upon simple and understandable terms as soon as we are willing and honest enough to try. So, those having religious affiliations will find here nothing disturbing to their beliefs or ceremonies. There is no friction among us over such matters. So, we think it no concern of ours that religious bodies or members identifying themselves with individuals. So it's no concern of ours what other people's religions are. Sorry, I tripped up on that sentence. So this should be an entirely personal affair, which each one decides for himself in the light of past associations or his present choice. Not all of us join religious bodies, but most of us favor such memberships. In the following chapter, there appears an explanation of alcoholism, and as we understand it, then a chapter addressed to the agnostic. Many who once were in this class are now among our members. Surprisingly enough, we find such convictions that no great obstacle to a spiritual experience, and this is highlighted. Further on, clear cut directions are given showing how we recovered. These are followed by 42 personal experiences. So, clear cut directions on how to heal. That sounds really valuable information, everybody. So, each individual in the personal stories describes in his own language and from his own point of view the way he established his relationship with God. These give a fair cross section of our membership and a clear cut idea of what has actually happened in their lives. We hope no one will consider these self revealing accounts in bad taste. Our hope is that many alcoholic men and women desperately in need will see these pages, and we believe that it is only by fully disclosing ourselves and our problems that they will be persuaded to say, yes, I am one of them too. I must have this thing. Anything you want to add? No. Keep it going. Keep going. That's what I thought you said. So, hey. Most of us have been unwilling to admit we were real alcoholics. No person likes to think he is bodily and mentally different from his fellows. Therefore, it is not surprising that our drinking careers have been characterized by countless vain attempts to prove we could drink like other people. The idea that somehow, someday, we will control and enjoy his drinking is the great obsession of every abnormal drinker. The persistence of this illusion is astonishing. Many pursue it to the gates of insanity or death. With a little star here, we learned that we had to fully concede to our innermost selves that we were alcoholics. How we start the meetings. That's a summary of step one. Right. Awesome. By the way, you're just talking to me. They can't hear you. I don't know. I don't want you like thinking, unless you want, I'll have to get another mic for you. Um, but we're documenting my journey to health as well as yours. Anyways, I love the help. Thank you. Instructions for step one. That's what it says right here. Um, I've actually talked about how I'm alcoholic, but anyways, we learned that, yeah, I already read that sentence. This is the first step in recovery. The delusion that we are like other people, or presently may be, has to be smashed because we're not like other people. We alcoholics are men and women who have lost the ability to control our drinking. We know that no real alcoholic ever recovers control. All of us felt at times that we were regaining control, but such intervals, usually brief, were inevitably followed by still less control, which led in time to pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization. It's basically like an emotional bankruptcy, like rock bottom. Yeah. Like, oh my God. Well, I know, but then when I have the migraine or when I'm sick to my stomach, it's like I knew. So I don't want to think about that when I'm praying to God, but sometimes that memory helps avert the alcohol. It makes me so sick, but I keep thinking that I can do it. So don't start. Um, we are convinced to a man that alcoholics of our type are in the grip of progressive illness. Over any considerable period, we get worse, never better. We are like men who have lost their legs. They never grow new ones. Neither does there appear to be any kind of treatment which will make alcoholics of other kind like other men. So that's like if you're a cucumber and you become a pickle, you can't go back. I like that one. We have tried every imaginable remedy. In some instances, there has been brief recovery. followed always by a still worse relapse. Physicians who are familiar with alcoholism agree that there is no such thing as making a normal drinker out of an alcoholic, which is underlined because, again, you can't go back. So, science may one day accomplish this, but hasn't done so yet. But never mind. Despite all we can say, many who are real alcoholics are not going to believe they are in that class. By every form of self depreciation and experimentation, they will try to prove themselves exceptions to the rule, therefore non alcoholic. If anyone who is showing inability to control his drinking can do the right about face and drink like a gentleman, our hats are off to him. Heaven knows we have tried hard enough and long enough to drink like other people. Here are some of the methods we have tried. That's okay. No, there's no name. We're not up to that. I think we did that part already. It says things we've tried: drinking, smoking, pot, beer. It just says number of hits and as well as drinks. I'm treating these as and, like a yes and. Um, Never thinking alone, never drinking in the morning or smoking in the morning, smoke only at home, never having it in the house, never drinking or smoking during business hours, drinking or smoking only at parties, switching from scotch to brandy, drinking only natural wines, agreeing to resign if ever drunk on the job, taking a trip, not taking a trip, swearing off forever with and without a solemn oath, taking more physical experience, reading inspirational books, going to health farms and sanitariums, accepting voluntary commitment to asylums. We could increase the list ad infinitum. Um, Now we do rehabs. I don't think they even said that word. We do not like to pronounce any individual as alcoholic, but you can quickly diagnose yourself. Step over to the nearest bar or saloon and try some controlled drinking. Try to drink and stop abruptly. Try it more than once. It will not take long for you to decide if you are honest with yourself about it. It may be worth a bad case of jitters if you get a full knowledge of your condition. So, there is no way of proving it. We believe that early in our drinking careers, most of us could have stopped drinking, but the difficulty is that few alcoholics have enough desire to stop while there is yet time. We have heard of a few instances where people who showed definite signs of alcoholism were able to stop for a long period of time because of an overpowering desire to do so. Here is one example. A man of 30 was doing a great deal of spree drinking. He was very nervous in the morning after these bouts and quieted himself with more liquor. He was ambitious to succeed in business, but saw that he could get nowhere if he drank at all. So once he started, he had no control whatsoever. He made up his mind that until he had been successful. Yes! Okay, enjoy the Chinese food. Those are my parents. We have a great relationship. Anyways, he made up his mind. I totally lost my spot. He was ambitious to succeed, but he saw that he could get nowhere if he drank. He made up his mind that until he had been successful in business and retired, he would not touch another drop. An exceptional man, he remained bone dry for 25 years and retired at the age of 55. After successful and happy business career, then he fell victim to a belief which practically every alcoholic has, that his long period of sobriety and self-discipline had qualified him to drink as other men. But we learned that he can't do that because you can't go back. So out came his carpet slippers and bottle. In 2 months, he was in a hospital, puzzled and humiliated. He tried to regulate his drinking for a while, making several trips to the hospital meantime. Then, gathering all his forces, he attempted to stop altogether and found he could not. Every means of solving his problem which money could buy was at his disposal. Every attempt failed. Though a robust man at retirement, he went to pieces quickly and was dead within 4 years. So this case contains a powerful lesson, which is underlined. Most of us have believed that if we remained sober for a long stretch, we would thereafter drink normally. But here is a man who at 55 years found he was just where he had left off at 30. So,
Yep, and that pretty much shows the progression of it is no matter like how long you have apart from it, you're gonna start, or eventually within a few months, maybe within a year, you'll be right off where you were even 50 years ago. You know?
I learned that with experience dependent neuroplasticity, which means your brain changes based on the experiences you have, that it also attaches itself to the learning centers of your brain. So like, where food is, where am I? So it's like exactly what you said. It's always like right where you left off. And they know that scientifically
Yeah. Oh
now.
yeah.
So we
This was
have,
written in the 30s.
you know, right? A long time tested. So, we have seen the truth demonstrated again and again. Once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic, commencing to drink after a period of sobriety. We are in a short time as bad as ever. If we are planning to stop drinking, there must be no reservation of any kind, nor any lurking notion that someday we will be immune to alcohol. So, young people,
No reservation, no lurking motion. That's also an
that's admitting
instruction.
that that you're an alcoholic and you can't drink at all.
Well, reservation or lurking motion is like,
Oh, I can do a little bit.
yeah, like just like his this guy's story. Oh, I'm gonna wait till I retire,
Oh, right.
or I'm gonna wait till after work, or I'm gonna wait till next summer, or whatever time period is. That it's in the back of your mind that you know that you're gonna do it again.
Mm,
So that's an instruction on step one.
yeah, like you
It's
can't
sync
put it
to your
off till
innermost
later.
self and no lurking notions.
Try to stop drinking, and if you have a problem, you'll know right away.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's I tried some controlled drinking, you know, which a lot of people in the rooms they won't recommend, but then like the hardcore big book people that follow the book will say, if you don't think you're an alcoholic, go to the bar,
Mm-hmm.
try it out, see where it winds up.
See if you can control your drinking.
Yep. So
Some people, just for a little
that's
while.
if you have lurking notions or reservations,
Yeah.
not if you don't plan on ever doing it again.
I think, well, if you're one of the people where the last time you left off, you wound up in the hospital, like, don't try. I would say don't try because you're probably going to wind up in the
Well,
hospital
I
again.
mean,
Unless you think that they need to wind up in the hospital again.
some people need it. Some people need to hit some kind of bottom, and some people will tell you, "Oh, how selfish of you is it, or how selfish are you to not let that person hit their bottom?"
That's
You know,
true.
you have to let people hit their bottoms, and that's it. Once they already have it in their head, once it's already there, once that obsession is there, it really doesn't make a difference.
When I don't think I told you, I haven't told. Bump Park knows this, but when I was drinking a lot in Austin, I drank like this would be considered one of my bottoms, but I broke my jaw. I was riding my bike. It was just 2 blocks away, and I was going to the bus stop, but it was before a work shift that I was stressed out about, and I had had like 4 mini wines, and then I took a nap, and I woke up from the nap and knew I was still drunk, and I drank 2 more, and I started biking to work, and I didn't even get out of the parking lot, and I passed out and hit the ground, landed full force, and broke my jaw. And then the neighbors flagged down the police who searched my bag while I was like bleeding out on the floor, and then they were like, call an ambulance. So I remember waking up in the ambulance with a broken jaw, and then I had to have my mouth wired shut for 6 weeks, and I drank through a straw. And that whole time I was still like, I waited a couple weeks, but even when I was healing, like I still drank and smoked.
Yeah.
So like I knew I was
Mhm.
alcoholic.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
So, anyways, not to get too far off from the book. Also, there's a lot of stuff. I was gonna say this before. We could talk about it. I'm not telling everyone at the meeting. Like, we could talk about stuff, but I don't feel like the need to be like. I don't feel the need to like share everything at every meeting.
No, you don't have to.
Like when they do that, oh, if the beginners want to talk and they do the clap thing, I'm like, there's a million other people who want to talk. Like the meetings are always full of people talking, and I'm like,
You know, and there's a lot of things that are misconstrued. Like a meeting isn't a place for people to dump their stuff. Like a lot of people go there, they dump all their shit, and they're like, "Oh, I feel great now. I'm so glad I went to a meeting." You know, like the open meetings, didn't really happen until like I think the '60s or '70s maybe. Everything was just big book workshops and 12-step meetings and everything. And everything. You're really in certain things, because people have big mouths, so you don't want to say everything that's going on in the meeting. Just have a small group of people that know what's going on. Even if it's just one or two people, it doesn't matter. As long as everybody knows what's going on with you,
right.
that's the most
As long as
important.
there's someone who knows what's
Yeah,
going
if you
on
don't
in your
have,
life.
if you don't have, and I feel like it's what can I bring to a meeting? What can I bring to make the meeting better? To be of service or have something that to say that's gonna help somebody. Even if you went through something and how you went through it, you could say some fucked up shit you went through. Oh, but this is how I made it through. Could help
Yeah,
somebody out.
there's always a time and place if I feel inspired. Or not me, but
Yeah,
I use
yeah, but no,
myself an
you don't have to share
example.
every single meeting that you go to, especially you're going to a meeting 7 days a week.
Yeah. Yeah, or more than seven, maybe sometimes multiple times a
Yeah,
day. Some people only go like once a week. So, anyways, we've got like 12 minutes. What do you want to do? A couple more minutes, or you want to?
yeah,
Nice watch.
yeah. Hmm?
I said nice watch.
This one,
Yeah.
this matches your clock, the
Thanks.
Belova.
We got that was my grandparents. A Belova.
Yeah,
That's once I have my job and I'm making money. I want to get a car and a watch.
yeah.
But anyways,
That's one thing I'm into is watches.
nice,
I have,
nice.
I spent. I can't tell you. If I sold all my watches, I could get like a Benz.
I mean, that's what watches are, though. But okay, so I'll read like maybe a page. I'll finish where we were going. So I was about to read the next underline
We'll read
because
one more paragraph and then
yeah, I'll
we'll get
finish the
going.
page. So nor any lurking notion. We just finished on that. Young people may be encouraged by this man's experience to think that they can stop, as he did on their own willpower. We doubt if many of them can do it, because none will really want to stop, and hardly one of them, because of the peculiar mental twist already acquired, will find he can win out. Several of our crowd, many men of 30 or less, had been drinking only a few years, but they found themselves as helpless as those who had been drinking 20 years. So,
Yep, and that was me for sure. As I told you, I got sober at 23, and I already was addicted to heroin, was on the methadone program, a lot of crack, coke,
it
everything
happens.
under the sun.
Okay, on that note, we'll do more next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye. Read, don't drink. Drinking's bad. Read your big book.